Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Ashe AD Carry. One of the better AD carries coming into Season 10 as she's the more supportive role, kind of like a version of Varus in that sense, where she offers utility through her ult, her E, and then through her passive in general, you're going to be slowing enemies that you hit, and then your W is going to be doing the same. So you provide a lot of like micro utility for your team that adds up over time. Um, but the way that Ashe functions as an AD carry is like in a really legacy way, right? Since you have your E, which is basically a non-damaging ability, and then your passive, which is also a non-damaging factor in her kit, so much of your damage is just loaded into your auto attacks and then primarily through your Q. So attack speed functions a lot different on Ashe than it does on other AD carries, as other AD carries usually benefit more from attack damage as they're spinning abilities along with their auto attacks. But with Ashe, it's primarily just through your auto attacks. So starting off with the Keystone is going to be lethal tempo. 1.5 seconds after damaging an enemy champion, you gain 40 to 100% based on your level. Attack speed for 3 seconds. Attacking an enemy champion extends the effect by 6 seconds. So this is very, very easy for Ashe to proc. No matter how you're leading with proccing lethal tempo, whether it's from your W, your ult, or your auto attack, they're all pretty good options. If you're pushing the wave and then you catch the enemy out of position with just one auto, which is going to slow them, which sets you up for more auto attacks, then you're going to be proccing the lethal tempo, and then as lethal tempo is procced, you probably have the ranger stacks built up so that you can just be auto attacking with the Q way more times than you would be able to otherwise. So in an all-in it helps. In a small trade it doesn't help like at all. That's the downside of it. But with Ashe, you're not really taking small trades. You're either taking like winning trades or no trades at all, or just poking with the W. So that's that. And even in the worst situations where you're getting engaged on and then you're trying to kite as well, the lethal tempo will also help you build up your ranger stack so that you can actually get your Q going, because even if you're running away, you could still cast your W. That's going to slow the target, and then once lethal tempo is procced, it's going to be easier to be moving backwards, turn around for an auto, and then do that multiple times to build up the ranger stacks, and then be able to deal significant damage to the target you're hitting, but then also be able to slow them more consistently as they're trying to chase you down. So great rune. It's going to lead to the most damage that you can deal on this champion. The only alternative might be something like press the attack, but like I said, with Ashe's Q, she functions a lot differently than other AD carries, where she doesn't really need the bonus damage from 3 auto attacks. She just benefits more from just having the excessive amount of attack speed whenever she's actually hitting a target. Again, pretty similar to a champion like Varus. Second rune is going to be Presence of Mind. Takedowns restore 20% of your maximum mana and permanently increase your maximum mana by 100 up to 500. So this is a very, very solid way of getting a lot of mana for free with Ashe. And it's not like most champions where Presence of Mind is like a luxury where you have to get kills or assists to get use out of it. With Ashe, your entire kit is like a supportive kit. So you're basically guaranteed to get at the bare minimum assist from your kit, because you're providing vision with the E, you're slowing with your passive and W, and then you're engaging with the ult or catching enemies out with the ult. So with Presence of Mind, you're almost guaranteed to at least have 100 bonus maximum mana from this, like come mid game, even in the worst circumstances. And the maximum mana increased Ashe can actually use come mid game, so that you can have just more W spam, like while you're either playing in the mid lane or skirmishing around objectives. Not like being able to actually cast your W and not run out of mana is meaningful damage that you otherwise just wouldn't have if you don't have the mana to like use it, like spam it enough throughout skirmishes or fights in general. So that's that. Your best second option would be Overheal, as excess healing becomes a shield, and then basically Overheal just gives you a shield for life stealing, and then that gives you better trading, but you don't really need this in lane. And then Presence of Mind's snowballing effect and then extra utility is like very, 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 very solid come mid game. So that's that. Third rune is going to be Alacrity. You gain 3% attack speed plus an additional 1.5 every legend stack. You basically get a legend stack for doing almost anything, for CSing, getting kills and assists, getting kills on objectives. So yeah, you're going to stack this up relatively quickly in the game, usually around like 13 minutes or so. You're going to have this fully stacked, and then again, the extra attack speed goes a lot further on a champion like Ashe. Most AD carries would want Bloodline as the lifesteal is just more valuable, but with Ashe, your first item is going to be Bork, which is going to give you lifesteal anyways. And then having the extra attack speed plus that, and then maybe like a second item Hurricane or something will you're just going to be able to like get way more damage off because of it in combination with Ashe's Q and lethal tempo. So great combination to just get so many auto attacks off. Fourth rune is going to be Coup de Grace. You deal 8% more damage to champions who are below 40% health. This just helps you finish off targets. Ashe, again, since you're like primarily just utility, you don't have like a good execute on a target. So whenever you're hitting champions that you've bursted initially, like with the ult, whenever they try to turn damage onto you, you're just going to be dealing more damage to them if you have Coup de Grace versus not. There may be like some matchups in which the enemy's running a lot of tanks, like let's say like Ornn mid, Zac jungle, I guess, and then whatever Psy on top. Maybe then you would run cut down instead, but it's very fringe cases in which you would have to do that, and they're pretty obvious when they present themselves as well. For secondary runes, it's going to be the Inspiration Tree with Magical Footwear and Approach Velocity. Magical Footwear, just offsetting the cost of boots, which are 300 gold, and you don't need the boots that early anyways on Ashe. And then you're going to get the boots at 12 minutes, which again, it's fine for an AD carry because especially where you're building into Bork early, like if you're just sitting on recurve bow and a bunch of longswords, you're going to be a lot more useful than if you had boots to potentially like move up the lane, hit a W or something. It's 50 damage, but saving 300 gold is way impactful on AD carries, especially when you're trying to hit like a cheaper item price point compared to other AD carries. Most AD carries right now are trying to build like 3 crit items as fast as possible. Ashe just needs a Bork and then Hurricane to really be like wildly useful. Like Bork, Hurricane, and then Berserker Greaves, and then you are really spiking on the enemy. And you can achieve that by like 23 minutes with just through farming, and the enemy is going to be sitting on like maybe a BF sword and a bunch of crit cloaks. It seems to be the trend. Anyways, you offset the cost of boots, and by doing so, you accelerate your build path. That's basically what the value of magical footwear is for most AD carries. Approach velocity, you gain 15% movement speed toward nearby allied champions that are movement impaired or enemies that you impair. So Ashe, since your passive slows, your auto attacks are going to slow, your W is going to slow, and your ult is going to slow. Every variation of damage that you have is going to slow the enemy. So this effectively functions as like a phage for free, where any enemy that you hit is you're gonna be able to get more movement speed to run them down. So it really helps whenever you have a winning trade in lane, and then it also helps having the utility in team fights, as if your allies are slowed, it can give you like kiting potential, but then if you're aggressing onto the enemy, it helps you run them down as well. So in very few matchups where things would be neutral, you could just run biscuits like most AD carries. But Ashe can make really good use out of approach velocity, and most champions can't. So it's very strong on her. Like if you're really trying to see the value out of this, build up the ranger focus on minions, and then W the enemy, you get movement speed towards them, and then auto attack them, reset the auto with Q, and then just literally let go of your mouse and keyboard. You're going to be running them down, dealing so much damage. The extra runes are going to be, or the adaptive runes are going to be attack speed, adaptive force, and armor. Very standard for every AD carry. The attack speed, just giving you more auto attacks at the start of the game, since it's a flat amount, versus Alacrity that's going to be scaling, and then lethal tempo that's going to be scaling with level. You don't need the extra adaptive force, as again, the extra attacks are just going to lead to more damage versus having just more flat attack damage. And then for the second rune, your option is either attack damage, armor, magic resist. With AD carries, like if you don't have this extra attack damage, it can lead to just very weird HP thresholds for minions where you can be missing them under tower and whatnot. So it's basically required that you run the extra attack damage here. And then for the last rune, it's going to be armor, where you have the option of scaling health or magic resist. With bonus armor, in the bot lane, you're going to be taking auto attacks from potentially 2 champions, maybe 3 from the jungler. So you're going to be offsetting the damage from those auto attacks. You're going to be offsetting the damage from the enemy AD carry, which is going to be your primary lane opponent. and then you're going to be offsetting damage from minions, which in the early game are basically stronger than the champions. So that's pretty important, especially when you're taking like aggressive trades. And then if you take a tower shot, it's also going to offset that. So it's just the highest value defensive stat that you can get early in the game. So that's that. That's the Ashe runes, and the important variations, like I mentioned, would just be Overheal and then maybe Biscuits if you're playing into matchups that are like where you're playing into matchups that are neutral versus um, defensive and then aggressive, which is how most matchups function for Ashe. She's either playing like at max range and then catches the enemy out with an ult, or is doing nothing. So it's very rare that there's a matchup where you're playing like on the neutral ground and just trading blow for blow with the enemy. In which case, Biscuits and Overheal would give you more value. So that's that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. And if this video helped you, leaving a like helps me. And oh yeah, I'll be streaming on twitch.tv/SorryNelson when the season starts in 4 days, dude. In 4 days, we hunt. Alrighty, see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Links in the description. See you later. Bye. Ashe is a great champion, man. I should really, like, I'm in love with Varus, though. Like, Varus is like Ashe, but Ashe is great. The utility